3rd of October 2025, Penrith will be launching. For those that are not familiar, Penrith is actually located at Queenstown within walking distance to the MRT station. But no, today this video will not be reviewing this new launch. There will be a separate video. This video, my focus will be presenting your resale options if you choose not to go for the new launch Penrith, because Penrith will definitely be priced higher than all the resale options available. And out of all these resale options available within a 500-meter radius, what would be the best that I will recommend you based on your objective? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sherwin. And for those that are new here, do remember to subscribe to the video because it gives me more motivation to spend more time to provide more valuable content for you. Okay, so the first 4 projects that we will be comparing will be Commonwealth Tower, Queen's Peak, the biggest one, Sterling Residences with more than 1,000 units, and lastly, Margaret View. Why do I choose these 4 projects, right? Because I believe they would be the closest comparison to Penrith. And for anyone, any buyer that is looking to buy into the area, they will do their homework comparison and view all the resale units over there. And my job here in this video today is to break down to you the pros and cons and which condo I will avoid and which condo I wouldn't mind buying if I do not want to buy Penrith. So I'll be breaking down into a few types of comparison. First would be location comparison. Second would be condo comparison. Third will be layout comparison. Lastly will be price and supply comparison. Why I choose location comparison, right? Because I feel the livability factor for all these 5 projects is very, very similar. They are all in a mature estate with limited transformation. Or rather, the transformation will be happening nearby, but not gathered in the Queenstown area. Okay? And one thing challenging for people looking to buy into the area is the lack of good schools within a 1 km radius. Not saying there's no primary school, like our government say, all schools are equal. But just that if they were to rank it the top 10 schools or top 20 primary school, they are not within the 1 km radius. So it's fair to all 4 projects. There's nothing that really stands out. The only difference that all 4 projects will have, right, is the proximity to the MRT station. So even though they are near, some are much nearer than the rest. For example, right, if we just judge based on the walking distance to the MRT station, Commonwealth Tower and Queen's Peak, right, is the clear winner because MRT is just right at your doorsteps. And the furthest one would be Margaret View, which is around 650-meter walk away. That's 9 minutes. And Sterling Residences will be the second furthest away, which is a 450-meter walking distance, around 6 minutes. So Penrith, I would say, is nearer than Sterling Residences. So maybe you need to walk around 4 to 5 minutes to reach the MRT station. But other than that, location-wise, not much of a difference. Okay? For the condo comparison, right, one thing which you will see that is very obvious, right, is the bigger the land size, the better or more well-equipped the condo would be. So let's take Sterling Residence as an example. 21,000 square meters, full-fledged condo facilities, tennis court, multiple swimming pools, and very beautiful landscaping. In comparison to Margaret View is more of an exclusive development, more apartment setting. There's still facilities, but not as many as Sterling Residences. So in comparison, right, those that prefer facilities to their condo and everyday life and they have kids, Sterling Residences will be the go-to for them. But for Margaret View, it's more exclusive and for people that value their privacy more or do not really want to see their neighbors. Because as you can see from here, there's only 1 block and 8 stacks all together. Okay? If we were to compare the 2 nearest condo to the MRT station, land size is pretty much similar, but Queen's Peak facilities is disappointing to say, because for the land size, their landscaping, I don't think it's done properly. For those that have been to the condo, you would know what I'm talking about. The facilities are quite limited in a certain sense, whereas compared to Commonwealth Tower, you have more facilities area and a tennis court as well. Next thing you'll realize for this project, right, is none of the units have direct north-south facing. There will be some units, depending on what unit type you choose, that will get some afternoon sun. And the other thing which is interesting to note, right, is for all 4 development, right, the main focus or the main bulk of the units that were being built are 1 and 2 bedroom. So if you look at Commonwealth Towers, right, there's a total of 72% unit for the 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom unit type. And for Queen's Peak, it is at 61%. Sterling Residences is 72.5%, and for Margaret View is 67%. So if you are looking for investment unit, this is something which you might want to take note, because the supply of the smaller unit in the area. But it also speaks volume that the developer is confident, right, that the area itself can attract tenant, because it's just at the city fringe and it is very, very accessible. So if you're looking to buy something to flip, like in the short term, maybe 3 or 4 bedroom makes more sense, because if you were to look at Property Guru later on, you realize that there isn't much unit in the market now, right, for the bigger unit types, especially if the layout are more efficient. Moving on to the layout comparison, right, for all 4 condos, all 4 projects, there's 1 bedroom, but only Queen's Peak, Sterling Residences and Margaret View have 1+ study. So I'm going to jump around a bit to show you the price comparison as well, because they are asking for almost about the same price of 950 being the lowest, all the way to 1.2 million. Of course, the 1.2 million unit is the 1+ study lah, but averagely you can get a proper 1 bedroom at around the $1 million range. And if you were to look at it, right, the size of all the 1 bedroom and 1+ study is pretty similar, but what would differ, right, would be the balcony and AC ledge space. For Commonwealth Towers and Queen's Peak, there's some weird odd shape going around, and especially for Queen's Peak, I wouldn't really recommend the smaller units lah, because if you can see, right, the balcony and AC ledge, right, already eats up so much of your space, so the livable area, right, will most likely get compromised. So if you're paying for the same price, of course depending on the level and the view lah, why not you get something that is more proper, more squarish or rectangular, okay, because the rental for this 4 project is similar as well. So I believe it will boil down to the condition of the unit and the price that the owner is asking for. The other thing to take note is for the 1 bedroom for sales at Queen's Peak, to no surprise, there are 26 units. And for Sterling Residences, there's 42 units. Margaret View, there's 15 units. And for Commonwealth Tower, there is a total of 29 units. So if you were to add all these 4 projects, the 1 bedroom and 1+ study going for sale, I think you can safely say there's about 100 units at the moment of 1 bedroom and 1+ study for sale, which is rightfully so, because 1 bedroom are usually bought for investment purposes. So if you are just considering rental yield, I would feel this 4 resale condo will give a better rental yield than Penrith lah, because Penrith, if you were to enter, I believe the starting price for a 1 bedroom might be from 1.2 million. Let me just do a quick calculation, because the floor plan is already, so I would most likely know the price as well. Let's see. Oh, Penrith has no 1 bedroom. Oh, this developer is very smart. Yep, so there's no 1 bedroom for Penrith. So if you're looking at 1 bedroom, you can buy the resale around the area lah. Okay. Next, we'll be moving on to the 2-bed 1-bath layout. Similarly, there's no 2-bed 1-bath in Commonwealth Tower, but for Queen's Peak, Sterling Residences, Margaret View, there's 2-bed 1-bath. The size itself, it's pretty similar, around 624 square feet, to the biggest one, which is at Margaret View, which is 657 square feet. Okay, out of the 3, the favorite, right, or the one that I will go for would be Sterling Residences, just because they have a tuck-in kitchen at the corner. But one thing you do have to note is developer do not provide cabinet for the 2nd bedroom, so you might have to build yourself lah. If not, it can act as a study area. And there's also an alternative, which is a dumbbell layout. So the whole concept of dumbbell layout is more efficient use of the space. And my least favorite would be Queen's Peak again, because of the balcony and the AC ledge size. On top of that, right, look at the 2nd bedroom over here, which I'm going to point out. This is a common issue for all the Queen's Peak unit, even going to the bigger unit size. The 2nd bedroom is really small. You can only put a single bed there, as compared to the rest of the units in Sterling and Margaret View, where you can put a double bed. And from a price point perspective, they're asking about the same price, which is around 1.38 million all the way to around 1.45 million. PSF wise is closer to 2002 to 2003 PSF. But do take note, right, all these 4 projects are pre-harmonized, meaning the AC ledge is not are being considered. So if they are in a post-harmonized situation, right, the PSF would most likely be even higher. Okay, quite a number of units for sale for the 2-bed 1-bath as well. 44 units for sale in Sterling Residences, Queen's Peak and Margaret View. I don't have numbers here, but I believe based on what I've seen earlier on, maybe I'll just throw it in later. There's also like 10 over units for each of the respective condo, which will bring the number for 2-bed 1-bath to around 60-70 units for you to choose from. Same thing as a 1-bedroom, 2-bed 1-bath. Most likely people buy it for investment purpose. So at the same time, while they are renting, they will be out there testing the market, especially when there's a new launch Penrith coming up. They will see whether they can sell it at an even higher price. Okay, so if you're looking for a 2-bed 1-bath to enter, rental rates would be pretty much similar, but personally, Queen's Peak will be something that I would not go for. I'll go for Sterling Residences lah. Okay, and this is the 2-bed 2-bath layout. And moving on, we'll be comparing the Sterling Residences 2-bed 2-bath, Margaret View 2-bed 2-bath, and Commonwealth Towers 2-bed 2-bath. One thing interesting to note is for Margaret View and Sterling Residences, they both have a plus study option, which makes the unit slightly bigger. It's just the placement of the study which is slightly different for the both of them. Margaret View would have a slight advantage over here because the study area for Margaret View, right, is just right beside the living area. And if you notice here, right, it actually leads out to the balcony. So if you want, the wall between the study and the living area, right, can be hacked, right, giving you an even bigger living space. Okay, Sterling Residences, same as well. They have the dumbbell layout, which I feel is very good in terms of maximizing the efficiency of the unit itself. For Commonwealth Towers, there's this one layout with a triangular balcony. There's a long walkway into your kitchen area as well, which this is something that I might avoid. But similarly, the size of this is also the biggest out of the 3 different 2-bedroom types in Commonwealth Towers. Okay. But let's look at the pricing point for all the units over here. Surprisingly, for the 2-bed 2-bath, this is where things get interesting because the supply of 2-bed 2-bath in this 4 condo, right, is quite limited as compared to the 1-bedroom and 2-bed 1-bath. For the 2-bed 2-bath in Margaret View, there's only 5 units for sale, averagely around 1.5 million all the way to 1.62 million. And for Queen's Peak, there's 3 units available for sale for the 2-bed 2-bath at around 1.68 million. Didn't really deep dive into the rest of the 2 units, but unless they have fantastic view or you are someone that really like balcony. Now, someone that really enjoy balcony or outdoor space, right, maybe you can go and buy Queen's Peak. But for me, it's a clear no. Okay, for Commonwealth Tower 2-bed 2-bath, there's only 13 units. And for Sterling Residences, because it being one of the biggest, or rather it's the biggest condo in the area, there's 22-bed 2-bath available for sale. So it brings a total of still less than 40 units there in total for 2-bed 2-bath. Rental yield would be pretty much similar, but interesting thing to note is Sterling Residences overall, right, it's commanding a slightly higher price for the 2-bed 2-bath area based on the past transacted as well. Because I believe when it comes to 2-bed 2-bath, people that are buying will be a mixture of not just investment but for own stay as well, especially for young couples with 1 kid or no kids. Livability factor is something that really attract family, and Sterling Residences being the biggest development there, right, has this attraction value. That's why the owners there are pricing it slightly higher as well. Next, we'll be moving on to the 3-bedroom unit type for all 4 projects. If you know what I want to say, same thing. I would not really want to buy Queen's Peak. Okay, Queen's Peak, there's a few 3-bedroom layout. They have the 850 square feet layout. I think they have the 915, and the biggest of it all is the 1000 square feet. I'm just using the 1000 square feet as a comparison throughout all 4 projects because I believe they are quite similar in terms of size. But you look at how Queen's Peak, they built their unit, right? The first thing that really put me off is still the bedroom size. Bedroom 2 and bedroom 3, right, you can only put a single bed there. They don't really have walking space for you to put like a bedside table and stuff. And you still have the very odd shaped balcony. Okay. And the other thing which I would like to highlight, right, is even at the 1001 square feet, right, there is no proper enclosed kitchen. It is more of an open kitchen concept. Not saying that it is not good, but it might just not cater to the people staying there, especially the $1 million HDB upgraders. And the next thing which I would like to highlight is the utility space. It's just very weird for me. The space is not fully functional because if you look at it, right, the door leading to the utility and the WC, right, the gap in front of the WC, what can you do with that? And the door that's opening inwards, right, to the utilities, right, what can you do with that? Maybe it's just a washing area, but even if you have a helper, your helper sleep directly outside of the toilet, or how would you put the bed placement? The only thing that I can really think of is you use it as a washing area lah. Okay, so enough of complaining about how bad Queen's Peak is. Let's look at the next three unit type. The biggest would be the 100 square meter Commonwealth Tower. 100 square meter should be around 1,100 square feet, followed by Sterling Residences and Margaret View. All very efficiently designed, but I cannot stress enough, Sterling Residences really did a very good job for 1055 square feet. They have a proper kitchen that leads into a separate store area and a WC, which is perfect for family. Margaret View is pretty much similar. It's just that the area which they compromise, because it's just 915 square feet, there must be some areas of compromise. Where they compromise, right, is the kitchen area, which is much smaller but is still enclosable, and bedroom 3 where you can only put a single bed. Okay, of course, entry price wise, Margaret View might be the lowest entry price because of the size. And Commonwealth Tower, even though it is big, there's still a long foyer leading into the living area. But they have a proper kitchen, yard, and utility area. And how they maximize the usage of the space, right, is they have one bedroom which is facing the other side, so the corridor actually shortened. And one thing which I like about Commonwealth Tower is that the frontage for the living and dining area is wide as compared to narrow, which is quite commonly seen in the rest of the condo area. Next, we'll be comparing the price point for the 3-bedroom. Okay, for 3-bedroom, right, surprisingly, Margaret View, there's no units for sale. But there's an alternative to it, which I'll show you later. And for Commonwealth Tower, there's 9 units, but do take note, Commonwealth Tower, they have smaller 3-bedroom units, which is going around 904 square feet. But the entry price is the lowest at 2.28 million. So if you have a budget constraint, but you still want a 3-bedroom, this is something which you can consider. Because I believe for Penrith itself, right, the bigger 2-bedroom unit type, right, might be hitting around the $2 million range already. Okay, for the bigger unit, which is around the 1,033 square feet to 1,078 square feet, they'll be ranging from 2.55 million all the way to 2.8 million. Queen's Peak, highly not recommended unless you love the view and the balcony space, or skip that. And the next will be Sterling Residences. There's only 10 units available for sale. Similarly, they have the smaller 3-bedroom unit type, which is at 883 square feet, 2.3 million, which if you treat it as a 2+ study, it still makes sense lah, okay? And for the bigger unit type, which is around 1055 square feet, they're asking for around 2.65 to $2.7 million. And one thing interesting to note is in this area, the conventional wisdom is the smaller the unit, the higher the PSF. But if you look throughout, right, the bigger unit, right, is actually commanding a higher PSF because of the lack of supply, I would say. So the owners just 敢降那个价钱 because they know 没有人才买. They can just ask for a higher price and still people will want to buy it. Because if you were to translate it into a post-harmonized PSF, right, I believe, right, it will be inching 2005 for Sterling, 2005, 2006 for Commonwealth Tower, 2006 for Sterling. Margaret View, there's nothing. I believe, right, if it's a post-harmonized PSF pricing, right, it will be around 2008 PSF. Okay, so my top choice, if I were to choose out of these 4 projects, Margaret View, we have nothing to choose. Queen's Peak, I'm not going to choose that. It will be between Commonwealth Tower and Sterling Residences. I will say price being my objective, I would have chosen Commonwealth Tower lah, given the entry price which is $100,000 cheaper, and it's within walking distance, or the MRT is just at my doorsteps. Okay, so we are coming to the last bedroom comparison, which is the 4-bedroom type all 4 condos have 4 bedrooms. And if you can see, the largest 4 bedroom here is actually Queen's Peak. And Queen's Peak have a private lift. Actually, Queen's Peak layout, right, for the 4 bedroom, right, is really fantastic. Why? Because the living area all the way to the family area to the kitchen area is perfect. A very, very good space. But the thing I just don't understand, right? If you have 1507 square feet of space, right, why do you need to build 2 separate living and make it so big and make your bedroom 3 and 4 so bloody small? I just don't get it. Why not cater more space, right, for your bedroom 3 and bedroom 4? You know where I'm coming from. But of course, the 4 bedroom will have the best view, best facing lah. So this is the only thing that I will nitpick. And for HDB upgraders, if they want to be fair to their kids, I believe the bedroom size itself would pose a challenge for them, unless they buy it as a 4 bedroom and convert it into a 3 bedroom lah. Okay, the next biggest one would be Sterling Residences, which is at 1346 square feet. Same thing, it's something like a dumbbell layout, nothing to nitpick, just that the bedroom 4 they don't provide a cabinet, but you can still do so yourself. And if you come up from the lift area, you are greeted by a very wide frontage lah. Okay, moving on, we have Commonwealth Tower, 121 square meters. This one, similarly, there's nothing much which I would nitpick. One thing good about Commonwealth Tower is, if you notice, right, they have Jack and Jill concept for the bathroom, which connects to bedroom 2 and bedroom 3, which is lacking in Sterling Residences and Queen's Peak itself. Okay, so it becomes like all bedroom has ensuite bathroom. Okay, so if this is something that is of concern, especially for bigger unit, right, these are just some small details which you can take note of. And of course, the smallest of it all would be Margaret View. Okay, Margaret View is only 1184 square feet, and here comes my alternative. Because there's no 3 bedroom for sale in Margaret View, right, you can actually buy the 4 bedroom that is for sale here and convert it into a 3-bedder. Okay, so this is very weird because of the space constraint itself. The kitchen size, the utility is not as big as the rest of them, and on top of that, there's only 1 bathroom shared within 3 bedrooms. But the thing that is attractive enough is the pricing of the Margaret View 4 bedroom unit lah. Because of the size itself, they are only asking, the only unit available there is only asking for, oh no, it's not only, there's 4 bedrooms available. 4 bedroom, 3 bathroom, yeah. Asking for around $2.65 million, which if you reference to the 3 bedroom earlier on, it's about the same pricing, same entry price point. So if you really want a 3 bedroom in Margaret View, just buy a 4 bedroom and convert it into a 3 bedroom. The size would be similar or even better than the 3 bedroom as compared to the rest of the project. Queen's Peak, there's another unit going for $2.628 million. But this is a 1055 square feet, 4 bed 2 bath. So I believe this is not a proper 4 bedroom lah. But in any sense, I wouldn't recommend Queen's Peak. But Sterling Residences at Commonwealth Tower, there's no units available for sale, so there's no comparison. If you really want to enter the 4 bedroom, right, within the resale market, right, Penrith might be your only alternative. If not, it would be Margaret View. Then with that, these are my comparisons for the resale within the 500-meter radius to Penrith. And of course, if you want to view the show flat, or if you want a more in-depth analysis of all the unit types and what you can do with the different layout and whether the entry price makes sense to you, right, be it as an investor, upgrader, or first-time buyer, do speak to me. If not, please subscribe to my channel.